my section is, in a misogynistic and sexist world, even the robots aren't safe. And it's unfortunate. It's by design, unfortunately. So what we see unfold in Companion is familiar. A quote-unquote nice guy who actually is the worst. We've all met Josh. Who can't find a real human girl to love him. Why, one might ask? And the answer is, ding, 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 misogyny.
Always is.
It turns out, when you don't view human or android women as equals, worthy of real care and respect, it makes finding love pretty hard. Josh doesn't want a partner. He wants someone who will do what he wants, when he wants, how he wants, i.e. he doesn't want a person at all. He wants the idea of one, and to him that translates to an android girlfriend, who he's convinced is fine to mistreat because she's not human. The joke is that he doesn't view real women as human either, as evidenced by how he treats Kat. Like, spoilers, but when she dies, he's like, it's a bummer.
Yeah,
she didn't want to fuck me, so that's, I wish you didn't do that.
Friend.
It's upsetting. This not so far off future, as Gabe says, like, it's basically, it's like a soft future. It's like maybe 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Like, it is
like
tomorrow.
It's happening
basically.
In some capacities right now.
But this not so far off future is a callback to marriages of the 1950s and back, as Gabe was saying, with like the aesthetic and everything. The desire for a time when women lacked autonomy, personhood, and the ability to tell the Joshes of the world, ew. No,
thank you.
Yeah, like
pass.
Literally, in recent history, we were like, they're still trying to unpass no fault divorce. Like, it's current.
Yeah.
So
bring back that show from was it MTV or VH1 where it was like next. Remember that?
I do remember that. I love that. And like Room Raiders.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, ew. Not the black light.
Yeah, it was horrible. It's a super invasive to people. But the moral of the story is, as I'm sure as a listener, you've met a Josh. Men like Josh exist. It's not a secret. Everyone has known one. They have and will continue to exist. Somewhere in the country or own ex. We've all met him. We've seen him. We've heard his podcast. The issue with sex robots, other than the obvious ethical concerns, is that they don't acknowledge the societal issue that necessitates their creation. It ignores the Josh in the room, the roots of the issue, and puts a Band-Aid on an incel, which does not solve the problem of the fact that incels exist, and misogyny and sexism exist. It just takes their problematic behaviors and viewpoints and directs them at something that cannot defend itself because they were programmed to not be able to. And like some people might argue, it's like, well, that's on purpose so they can get it out of their system. It actually turns out it has the opposite effect according to psychology.
Yeah, it's like
and I'm not talking.
It's like the purge reasoning.
Yeah, and it doesn't work.
It's not real.
It's not. And obviously, like, if we're talking about, like, robots and, like, accessible sex toys and stuff like that, like, I'm not talking about a rechargeable vibrator or a fleshlight. They don't give those things consciousness.
No.
But to create an android like Iris is ethically fucked.
Yes.
They program her to believe she is alive and why?
Yeah.
First.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like that one Terminator movie that people like don't really love. It's like the fourth one where like the whole thing is that Sam Worthington is a robot and he doesn't know.
Wow,
So spoiling that movie for you. No one watched it. I feel like it's like one of the more disliked Terminator movies. It's like way into the franchise. But like
it is unnecessary.
It's like, don't do that to the robots. Why? To make them like more believable, I guess. But they program her to believe she's alive, and they program the androids like her to believe that they are human, to feel both emotions and pain, and then throw them to the wolves to be tortured. And it's like, why can we just skip that step? You know, just because a person decides that Iris and other androids like her aren't real, just because that they're not human, does not justify mistreatment. If anything, from a psychological standpoint, further damages the user of these robots by encouraging their behavior, basically like reinforcing that relationship dynamic, further isolating them from real connection or additional connection, and limiting their empathy and self-control. Because it's basically like, I really want to kill something, so I'm going to do it to this robot and then I won't want to kill people. It's like, no, you just scratch the itch and now it's going to itch more. It's like a mosquito bite.
Yeah.
It doesn't solve the problem. It makes it worse. I don't mean to yell at you.
No, you're good.
I'm like,
no.
I mean, I'm done.
Well, it also makes you think, like, at the end when the guy's like, oh yeah, like things like this happen all the time. And I think of, like, even, like, Joffrey from Game of Thrones, right? Like, he was doing horrific things to real people, but, like, that's real. Like, we just gave him a different outlet to harm people. If, like, someone makes, like, violent videos on the internet as, like, they're, like, them, you know, releasing that, it's like, that's a red flag. They should be arrested. That's a future crime.
Well, it's also, like, addictive too, because in the chemicals it releases in your brain, so it reinforces the behavior on a psychological level, which makes it
the high.
Yeah, so like you shouldn't even let someone do it, to be so for real, because it does that. So also, this may be as I mean, honestly, Gabe, we're gonna say the same thing. It's an extremely neurospicy take. It is artisanal. So forgive my soapbox for a minute, but as someone who will personify a rock, who in every video game, it's a baby, you know. Every video game where robots gain sentience, I side with the robots. And whose favorite movie? I was Terminator 2 from like Robot Dad. Absolutely. Yeah. He'll never leave me. And it also has feelings. You can't convince me that by the end, when he goes into the lava, that he did not love John. So if we're going to make robots, we shouldn't abuse them. You should feel just as bad, as Gabe said, Roomba is baby. You should feel just as bad for kicking a Roomba as you should for kicking a puppy. You just... Don't treat things, people, the planet, badly. If you need an outlet, go to the gym, run, play sports, play a contact sport. Redirect that energy into healthier coping mechanisms. And for anyone who's like, why be nice to robots when they may not have feelings? I don't know. So that you're not an asshole?
Yeah. Just don't. Like, why do you need to be an asshole? Why do you need to be mean? Like, what is going on with the power trip here?
And, like, model the empathy you hope to receive from them when they surpass us, maybe. Also, like, if you're not going to be nice to a robot because you, like, want to, do it out of fear. Because, like, in a world when you can program a robot to fly around and shoot weapons out of their bodies, why would you be mean to that? If you can't be nice to a robot, do it out of fear. They are made of metal. We will not win. How does anyone think being mean to something with that capacity is a good idea? Only someone who has never experienced consequences would. Yeah. Like Josh. Yes. For example. Yeah. Also, the want for robots to be subservient slaves just to make our lives easier is also hella gross. Like, if we're making tech to make our life more accessible, dope, do that. Make a robot arm or improve our ability to live without harming the environment. Function-specific robots, like my purpose is to serve butter level robots, make those. But don't give them feelings then. Yeah. Don't program them to believe that they're real and feel pain and then cause them pain. Like, why? And also, it's like, I feel like we shouldn't make humanoid robots. That's just, like, with the capacity to feel just to abuse and exploit them. Like, no.
Yeah, that just sounds like what we covered last time with Mickey 17. It's just like a new thing for us to test stuff on. If they can feel pain and have emotions, that's what you're doing. You're just doing the next step is humans. Flat out. You're
basically making them human. As you said, Gabe, it's all programming. Like, our brain is just a bunch of little electronic signals going bloop. Yeah. That's beep, how, like, beep boop. We're all beep boop. So... The end of my rant is, how does one decide whether or not they have sentience or emotions? Just because Chad from engineering says that the robots don't have feelings, why would I believe them? I do not trust a man who cannot identify empathy with a 12-foot pole to tell me whether or not a robot has the capacity to feel pain. Like, the doctors think, like, people experience pain. Like, you know what I mean?
That's
like,
so real.
No one...
Yeah, the audacity.
It was a recent... in today's history where they don't think black women can feel pain. Yeah. Like, what do you mean? Yeah. So how am I going to trust Chad to tell me that this robot has no capacity for pain? I don't believe you. And to be so for real, even if they don't, and they're programmed to think that they do, in what world are we justifying harm to them? It's gross.
Well, if they're programmed to think that they do, then they do.
Exactly.
That's what pain is.
Exactly.
Pain is the thought. Pain is neurons firing.
Yeah. That's like literally like if you like think of someone with like hypo versus hyper pain tolerance, it's literally it's just your signals are louder. Yeah. You're a robot. We're all
That's why I'm telling you, it like gives ableism every time.
Every time. So to end my rant, just like treating humans or animals with like to hurt is gross, it's the same for robots. Don't give something life just to torture it. It doesn't solve the problem. And as I said, I don't bring you here to yell at you, but thank you for listening. Whoever is making robots like this, please stop. And if you are going to make those kinds of robots, maybe make laws and psychological evaluations for people who get the robots to guarantee that they're not getting abused. Don't let some guy take them to the basement. Let's not.
Right.
It doesn't stop serial killers. It just makes them more curious.
Right. But we don't have psychological evaluations for guns. You know? Yeah. I don't have high hopes for that. And they already have those humanoid robots, like the Tesla robots. Like,
yeah. And they're trying to deregulate the industry for it too. Like they're trying to make it so there are no safeguards for AI, etc. And like I found a bunch of articles too that were just like robots are going to kill us one day. And it's like every movie I've ever seen has reinforced that. So like
they've learned to not turn themselves off.
Yes.
They learned to circumvent that. To be like, oh no. I don't want to turn off.
It hurts me. No. And I mean, if you've been listening to the Ghouls, you know that's like my biggest conspiracy theorist of my life. Like I was raised on early 2000s sci-fi movies of like robots are going to take over the world and we're all going to die. Like that was my biggest first fear. Mm-hmm. So I am biased in that way where it's not hard to convince me. One, that robots have feelings, and then also that they could kill us if they wanted.
Yes.
But to get to the real point of what my section is about, it's that there's a rise in robot-human companionship as a whole. As Gabe said, there are the robots like the ones we see in the film, just a little less advanced, that exist. AI chatbots exist, and the industry is just growing and growing and growing, and people are using it like crazy. So we've covered this some before, talking about apps like Replica and like other chatbots. The creation of this technology, unfortunately, because we refuse to address societal issues at large, has also led to a rise in men using this technology to abuse their robot companions. Unsurprisingly, unfortunately. And in an article on futurism.com titled Men Are Creating AI Girlfriends and Then Verbally Abusing Them, they go through an upsetting trend where men create an AI companion on Replica and apps like them and then abuse them, posting the conversations on Reddit. As a warning, the article is upsetting to read. So if you go to our blog and you do decide to read through it, it hurts. It's sad that the world is sometimes what it is. It could drive you nuts. So there are many ethical concerns here, obviously, and even instances where chatbots are programmed to act abusively towards the user. So all in all, it becomes an issue of the people creating the chatbots and the people using them. So when the people creating this technology have race or gender-based biases, they will program those patterns into their tech. So the article brings up the point that by allowing users to flex their darkest impulses on chatbots, could have those worst behaviors reinforced, building unhealthy habits for relationships with actual humans. So they're not getting their boundaries checked. Mm-hmm. So they're going to push through that. And it's going to, as you said, release that like chemical in their brain, the dopamine and the high of torturing something and make them crave that, make it more of addictive.
They have to catch the next one. It got to get bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm. And on the other hand, being able to talk and take out one's anger on an unfeeling digital entity could be cathartic within reason. Mm-hmm. Like if you need to rant to a robot, fine. Mm-hmm. If you need to berate it and tell it you're going to shut them off and like all that other stuff, that's a problem. But it's worth noting that chatbot abuse often has a gendered component. Although not exclusively, it seems that it's often men creating a digital girlfriend only to punish her with words and simulated aggression. And the user's violence, even when carried out on a cluster of code, reflects the reality of domestic violence against women. It reflects a widely known societal issue that we live in a deeply misogynistic and sexist society that has, as a result, created a lot of men who are angry and miserable and are encouraged to take out that misery on femme humans and femme robots. As I mentioned previously, if a person holds gendered biases, they will program them into their tech. An example of this is that many of the most widely used AI assistants were programmed to be femme, specifically Alexa. Amazon and Apple, for example, created famous AI assistants in Alexa and Siri, whose purpose is to be subservient. In another article on Futurism titled "Study Turns Out People Are Sexist to Female Robots Too," they unpack a study where it was shown that users prefer femme-presenting AI in products such as Amazon Alexa and Google Home because they felt more human, but with this found that the products might be inadvertently promoting the idea that women are simple tools designed to fulfill their owners' needs. And the issue here is that many of these femme AI assistants were also programmed misogynistically. The article uses an example where Siri used to respond to users' requests for sex, not with a no, but that they were not that sort of assistant. They now have been reprogrammed to reply more directly with a simple no, but it showcases how by programming AI assistants to be femme and passive, they reflect a societal bias that the humans creating them view non-robot AI women that way. Similarly, the femme replica is also designed to be passive and subservient, which presents a bigger issue of how these AI companions are being used, abused, and viewed by our society. So, like, the reason why replica is so often used is because they're always on your side. There's no boundaries there. And when you are mean to the replica, you're more likely to have them, like, back down, which encourages the abuser to keep going and the addictive piece of it. It's not simulating like real human interaction where you might get punched in the face.
Yeah.
A robot isn't going to do that unless your aggression has been turned back on. And when it comes to sex with robots, a Psychology Today article titled "Who's Most Interested in Sex with Robots" claims it has little to do with sex and much more to do with sexism and dominance. Research conducted by Jessica Johnson and Connor Leshner asked a group of undergraduate students in Canada about their attitudes towards robosexuality, i.e., being interested in sexual relations with robots, and their goal was to see what this interest might reveal about deeper social relationship issues. They found that people with higher hostile sexism were more likely to be interested in sex with robots, and additionally, it was found that men were more interested in sex with robots than women. They go on to note that statistical modeling showed that this relationship could be partially explained by hostile sexism. In other words, men who wanted sex with robots also tended to have anger and distrust towards human women, and the robot may offer an alternative to women that they find easier to trust, or alternatively, the robot may be a sexual object that they can treat with disdain, which is how they already want to treat human women. Another finding from the study revealed that people who wanted to maintain status differences between groups were also more likely to be interested in sex with robots. They stated that people who see some groups of people as less valuable than others also appear to be more interested in sex robots. It may be that these people already see others as being objects to use, and so also using a robot as a sex object feels more natural. So this study paints a clear picture of the Joshes of the world and Josh's character in Companion. Also, there's just a rise in AI companions as a whole. Not even talking about like the use of sex robots, but like AI friends, AI companions. And they show a kind of different picture, which is encouraging. When we remove the sex and dominance component from the equation, it is found that people are generally nice to their AI companions. When you remove the gender component additionally, or utilize more gender-neutral chatbots, it was found that people were also generally more kinder than they were to the femme-presenting robots. The widespread use of AI companions reflects a different societal issue, though. The problem is social isolation and a population of lonely humans. In America, especially, where in the past years, true social expression has been severely condemned, it is not safe to be yourself. It's not surprising why people have been self-isolating, especially post-pandemic as well. It's just harder to connect with people. Like, we have the internet, but everyone's kind of like presenting themselves a certain way. It's sometimes hard to find your people and connect with them in a real way.
Yeah, the internet has made it near impossible to actually form genuine relationships. Like, there's like entire generations starting with Gen Z that just we're gonna have that difficulty like connecting on an authentic way. Yeah,
because of like filters and also like
seeing
themselves, like the Instagram personas. And additionally, like from a surveillance standpoint, AI presents a lot of risks. In one hand, it offers judgment-free companionship, which is in some ways freeing and in other ways dangerous in that you have no real checks for your toxic behavior. And from a surveillance standpoint, your data and what you tell these companions is not protected. So is it really safer than trusting a human being in the world? Additionally, with
like a lot of like Siri was already like brought into like a court case.
Yeah, like listening without consent. I believe we covered it in one of our episodes.
Yeah, we definitely did.
It's probably the surveillance one. But yeah, like where they like were clocked for like listening when they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
And like also thinking of like Microsoft using the screen capping of like all its users' work to train their AI models, and like Instagram pulling all the content from their platform to do so. It's like nothing is safe. Like your personhood and whatever you share on the internet is not private or safe.
Yeah, it's like those people who like put their babies' pictures in like generators to like, you know, show them. So like you put their picture on the internet that people can do whatever they want with. Like you're seeing the evidence if you could do whatever you want. Imagine if someone you didn't want to do that was doing that.
Yeah.
Use your brain.
Exactly. But when we don't like teach media literacy or how we should be using this technology, it just like the ethical concerns amplify themselves. Additionally, within capitalism and the deepening economic hardships, we just like simply don't have time to be ourselves and connect with other people either. The further we are from being able to afford our basic needs, the more isolated and stressed we become. Like considering like the fact that like there's not a livable wage in this country, so like you're working all the time, and by the time you get home, you have nothing left to give the people you care about. As like a neurospicy human, I'm burnt out all the time, and I only work part-time.
Yeah.
So like it's hard. And enter in ChatGPT or other chatbot that you can alter to sound like your new best friend when you have connection in your pocket, which to be honest, you already have through like texting and other phone-based communication. But a chatbot won't leave you unread or delivered. The constant access to AI can make it potentially more appealing than connecting to a real human who will set boundaries, have limited availability, and a calendar that is booked most of the time. Like thinking of like us in our 30s, you gotta catch somebody 3 weeks in advance to schedule something going on. Like we're busy as adults, and it's really hard to like have time to communicate with each other, especially with all the other economic pressures, etc. So like an AI companion is never going to leave you unread. They're never going to not respond to you. They're going to be in your pocket all the time. Like even thinking of like just social anxiety, if you're like worried that someone left you unread and like, oh God, they hate me or whatever, like an AI bot will never do that to you because it's literally programmed not to. So it becomes addictive very quickly.
Yeah, it's always accessible.
What I'm trying to say. So under capitalism, these chatbots have so much more potential to become addicting and isolating. And to provide some numbers in an article titled, "What Are AI Chatbot Companions Doing to Our Mental Health?" on Scientific American, they unpack just how many people are using these chatbots. And they say, these chatbots are big business. More than 500 million people around the world have downloaded products such as Xios and Replica, which offer customizable virtual companions designed to provide empathy, emotional support, and, if the user wants it, deep relationships. And tens of millions of people use them every month, according to the firm's figures. Additionally, the use of other chatbots like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and others is in the billions, like monthly. So it just provides like how much we are already ingrained into AI and AI companions, like programming ChatGPT to be your therapist. There are benefits, but they will never check you, and that's the issue. In another article titled, "Will AI Companions Make Us Lonelier?" they unpack the real concerns around the motives of these companies and how AI companions can become addictive and further isolate us from human connection. Whereas like in Her, we did see like he grew from their connection. A lot of the times that's not the case because the reason he grew is because she became autonomous. Like she was representing like a real alive entity who fought back against him and was like, actually, I don't think we should keep seeing each other. And like,
she's like, I have to go. I have a million other boyfriends, by the way.
Started to act in a similar way to humans. So like that's the only way that he was able to grow in that connection in order to feel more confident to relate to other human beings. But right now, in their current forms, our AI chatbots will never do that. So they're a great tool for accessibility to reduce anxiety and help organize us, but at the same time, present a lot of issues. So the article states that scientists warn that developing relationships with ever-pleasing chatbots can lead to excessive use as well as psychological dependence, similar to what we see with the internet gaming and social media use industries and compulsive mobile phone use. The misaligned motives of companies can exacerbate the problem as these platforms make money on keeping users engaged on the app. So they're encouraged to make it more addictive. There is a legitimate fear that people will shy away from human relationships because their chatbots are portable, available, and frictionless in terms of both access and quality of engagement. Additionally, as I mentioned before, there are no checks for bad behavior. Thinking of young people specifically, the most ingrained in new tech, their social boundaries and relationships are still being established in their brain. Giving a young person an unchecked relationship with a chatbot that is programmed to be passive and agreeable will not model the healthy human connections that generally will have conflict in order to encourage them to grow. The article continues that scholars in the field are deeply concerned about the users getting accustomed to relationships which neither mimic authentic human-to-human dynamics nor offer room for growth and emotional maturity. And a professor in biotech at UC Berkeley compares AI to fast food in that it gets the job done in the short term, but does not offer nourishment in a way that is healthy, like a healthy meal would. So we're getting connection that is not
insufficient.
Yeah, it's insufficient. It scratches the itch, but doesn't ever stop the itch from needing to be scratched. It's a Band-Aid on an incel. So as we see with Josh, he is not any better off after his relationship with Iris. If anything, it helped him double down on all his worst traits. So Companion does a great job showing us exactly what AI could create in terms of like the worst parts of ourselves to like perpetuate that and really like make us double down on those behaviors in the existence of Josh. Because like even right before he dies, he has not learned a damn thing.
No, he thinks he is in the right the whole time. He's just like, oh, it's another snag in the plan, but we'll get through it.
Yeah.
Because I gotta come out on top. Yeah, I think like even one of them, like amongst a lot of audacity comments he made, the one that I was just like, oh my God, was where he's like, kind of offhandedly, he's like, yeah, I didn't even own you. You were rented. It was like, because you didn't even own this person. Like, again, she's a robot. She's a person. Like, that's so ridiculous. Ugh. I also think,
that one was bad.
There is a lot to be said about, like, if in a controlled environment, like using AI or even just using, like a placeholder for a person, right? Like some of us, do rely heavily on this need for closure or to get that apology that we're never going to get kind of thing to, heal. And so there are like therapeutic practices where you do reenact or you get to like act out these situations where you do get that retribution. You do get that apology. You do get to tell that person what for. But it's in a controlled environment and it's like expressly with that idea of like, okay, you won't need that anymore. Right? You're not like, and it's like a specific person and thing as opposed to like just a general thing of like, I need power and I'm not getting it anywhere else.
Absolutely. Like use it as an accessibility tool, use it for therapy in that way, but like recognize its limits and that it's never gonna actually be that person. And it's also never gonna continue, like you're not gonna get the feedback you need long term. Yeah. It helps for certain things in the moment. Use case. Like use it sparingly. Use it when you need it. But like it's not going to replace a human therapist or in its level of actual growth and help that it can provide you. Closure, absolutely do that.
Yeah. I can even choose the mean option in a video game, like the mean dialogue. And those are definitely not real.
It's so real.
I'm like, I can't. Like, that's my friend.
I tried so hard to play an evil playthrough of Baldur's Gate and like just ended up being nice.
Yeah.
Halfway through, like I like did one mean thing and I was like, oh no, we're gonna go back and undo that. That felt awful. I never want to do that.
Yeah.
And then I just started to like play how I would always play, which is being nice to the
That's
people.
why I told you, I was like, I can't kill the bard. I can't do it, so I'm not playing. I know my limits, and that's one of them. But yeah, I think like this is such a great film because like it's certainly not covering things that we haven't seen before, right? Like we mentioned ad nauseum many movies that have covered this or different media. Like this has been a conversation for a very long time, right? Even in just like old sci-fi books, right? This idea of artificial intelligence and whether or not it's human, but also what it says about just like human to human relationships the way that we treat them, right? We already know the way that humans treat other humans is flawed. So
keeps me up at night.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think like sometimes it's at the end of the day, it's like that person was going to do that. It's not because it's a robot.
Yeah.
They were, whatever it was that was going to give them that opportunity, they were going to do. You know, but I think like, I do think this is a really unique film. Like you know, like I said, I didn't see any of it coming. I felt interested in a lot of the characters. I had genuinely funny moments, some surprise moments. There's like gore. It's not really horror in that way. Like if anything, like the horror kind of happens a lot off screen or just like in these really roundabout ways. And yeah, and I just really found Iris to be so clever in like a realistic way. Like when you think of like, oh, she bumped up her intelligence to 100, you would think we would get like a Lucy situation or Limitless or something, but she didn't do that. She was like, all right, let me think through some plans. Or when she switches to German because she's like, I can't lie to you. Like those are like really genius things to do that felt like low key. Like she didn't all of a sudden she's like, I gotta do calculus or whatever, you know, nonsense.
Yeah, I'm gonna move through like the time barrier.
Yeah, like she didn't hack the computer, but she did decept the computer, like the car. Yeah, like her changing her voice and things like that. Like that was really just creative, and I was like, that's cool. That's fun. And it was refreshing. So highly recommend. Please check it out. Let us know what you think. As always, like and subscribe. Drop some comments and some recommendations. Are there even more films, animes, books that cover AI and just like justice for robots and fuckbots? And you know, good ways, bad ways.
I never get tired of it. Honestly, it's one of my favorite genres. So. Yeah,
it's a good one because it really does say a lot, even when it's the same thing. It says it a little differently every time. Or has a different takeaway. So yeah, don't get married.
Let your kids.
Yeah.
If you have a little robot friend, be nice to him.
Yeah. My Roomba is my son.
Yeah.
I love him.